Hi, Professor.
Thanks for asking. I'm good too.
Hi, Victoria. All right. Okay. No, it's not this. Let's, I'm gonna post a file. I should have sent it to you by email, but I didn't get to it. So I'm gonna post it in the chat. So what you need to do, guys, you need to download it. Save. Let me close that. Post. There's so many steps of everything. I hate it. Oh, it's probably. Here we go. Okay. Now, do you guys all have access to PowerPoint? If not, I have to quickly convert it to PDF. Tell me if you don't have PowerPoint. Couldn't find the download for the work to complete. Forgot to save the file. All right. So everybody's okay with the PowerPoint? Okay, good, good. Otherwise, that's another step. Let's convert it all to PDF. Lord. And let's do the rubric in case you don't have it. Assignment 1 instructions. Here's rubric. Okay, that's PDF. Okay, goody. So download these files. Make sure that your partners, when they join, your group members, when they join, do the same. Next time I will make an effort to email everything just a little bit ahead of time, but not today. Okay. Oh, before we share, we have to close. Okay. Fine. That, and we need PowerPoint. All right, let's start with that. Yeah. Open up. There we go. All right. Can everybody see my PowerPoint screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you, Seaver. Yes, Jackie,
No
thank
problem.
you. All right, that's good. See Vanessa, Rita, Milana, Victoria, Seaver, Thomas, Jackie, Jeremiah, Monica, Jenny, Edgar, all my best students. Yay! Maybe I should just give you all A's and stop teaching.
That'd be nice.
What about my code of ethics? What's gonna happen with that? Edgar says yes, of course. I'll do my best. I'm not. There is a nice English saying. Let me see if I remember it. My bark is louder than my bite or stronger than my bite or something like that. Don't tell anyone. Well, Vanessa, unfortunately, there are no secrets on this campus or in this world. It will be known. And then, of course, I'll lose my reputation of the whatever it is, the worst grade in the world or something like that. I'm just kidding. No, not bad. All right. I will be, okay, let's put it this way. I will try to be as fair as possible. And we have a rubric, so I can't really fake it. So you either do what's there or you don't. Good. So practicalities for those of you who were not here on Tuesday, obviously, as we know, Tuesday is our optional lecture. There is no Tuesday next week, the 29th. It's Monday schedule because of the Jewish holidays, which we have Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur back to back, both sort of taking place on Mondays as well. So we don't meet. Then we will have a lecture will be on Thursday, October 1st. It's going to be chapter 5 because remember we have done chapter 4 already. That's the ethics. So because it's a lecture, it's optional. You attend, you write a summary of questions or extend it and in certain ways, 200 words or more, and that will should be at least 200 words as always, and post it in your discussions. Okay, which means that Tuesday the 6th is also going to be a lecture, which we'll get back to our cycle. Is that the case? Let's check the syllabus before I say something that I'll regret later. There is our syllabus. There is our syllabus. Okay, let's make it larger.
Professor, I have a question.
Go ahead, Rita.
So the documents that you sent in the chat, it won't let me open them.
Why not?
I don't know. It says that it's not available for macOS, like MacBook Air.
Oh, I see. Who else is having the same problem?
I don't even see the link in the chat.
Oh, go up. It's okay. I see there is a few people. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's. Well, it's not a problem. You can look at the slides because I will project them. But if your partner, your group members, not partner only for those who are in groups of 2. Then you'll be good. So what I will do then, I don't want to waste any time now, Rita, but once we are done with the lecture part and you're going to go into Google Docs, I will convert it into PDF and post it or send it if it's just a few people. The file is working fine for me. Okay, says Jeremiah. So it's software issues on your end, but we'll take care of that, not immediately. So let's have a look. I'm looking at the syllabus. Nothing on the 29th. So on October 1st, we have a continuation of 3 claims and 4 validities. So that's going to be a lecture, but it's going to be optional. So October 6th is also a lecture on chapter 5, optional, but October 8th is assignment 2. I mean, not of course, beginning of assignment 2. So it's really, really critical that you guys attend. Right, so we have 2 lectures back to back, and the first one on the 6th, and then we will have our synchronous class on the 8th. Good, now that makes sense. It's in the syllabus, so you guys have access to all of that. I don't need to post anything special. All right, let me go back to the slides. Here we go. Goody. So there is nothing this coming week, week 5. Your activities are due Monday 28th by 10 p.m., something like that. I have listened to your suggestions. Jasmine in particular wanted more. So let me stop this and then show you the blackboard. Let's assume it's available. Yes, it is. Goody. It's a little small, but can you see, guys? I am in the activities folder of week 4, which is today. Now, as you can see, can you see my usual?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a little small, but don't worry about it. So as you can see, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 activities posted. And remember, you can only get 4 points. Now, I would suggest that you work through applying the rubric to grade sample assignment 1, either assignment C or assignment A. And remember, C, it's a grade C, and A is a grade A. There's also the exercise that we mentioned at the end of the lecture on Tuesday. We didn't get to that, so you can do that. You can work on measuring, manipulating variables, or you can apply the 3 causal criteria. So all of these are available to you until the end of 28th, and that's your participation. Now, remember that quite a few of you haven't done anything, not a single thing. And I said that's almost half of the class. Now remember, these are 50 points. You're not raking them up. You will be later on thinking that you should have done it, but it's going to be too late, because every week you get your activities and then they close and the new activities open up, and they can only get 4 activities, 4 points per week. So if you haven't done anything in 3 weeks, you have already lost 12 points possible. Right, have to catch up, Jeremiah. Yes, very good. We all have to catch up. You all have to, and I will have to catch up too. So I will be doing more of that. And before, I relied a lot on you to read the chapter and find something interesting and expand it and find some more information. And that seems to be not working too well. So I will do more. This will continue to stay as a possibility. So any one of you who is interested in doing something that is mentioned in the textbook and then talking about it 200 words or more, you're still welcome to do that. You can do the summary extension questions on the lecture. That's continues to be one of the activities. And I will post a few of others activities, making them more obvious. So perhaps that will help you to get more engaged. Like I keep saying, yeah, that's not the most fun class in the world, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, who knows. But it's very, very useful. Moreover, it's actually critical for your success in your other psychology classes. I'm teaching, cognitive 288 now. And people who have done 201 are doing better than people who haven't, because they don't really know anything about APA style of writing. So please get involved. This is your education. Who cares about the piece of paper they will get at the end? What they will care about is, can you work in a group? Can you write a few sentences? Can you critically investigate something? Can you find information on the web that's not fake? All these things all come from doing activities in this class. All right, back to the slides. My little spiel about usefulness of this class. All right, so your next quiz is quiz 2, which will be on chapter 5, will open on Tuesday, the 29th, normal way, and will be available to you until 10 p.m. Monday, September 28th. Now, there are a couple of people who didn't do quiz 1. Remember, there's only 5 of them, so you lost an opportunity of getting potential points. Like I said before, quiz 1 was way too easy, judging by your grades. So I'm gonna make it just a little bit more difficult, not terribly. And we'll look at that again. If your grades become more normally distributed, then that's the level of difficulty that I will keep. If it becomes too difficult, I will play with the difficulty of the questions depending on your grades. So due October 5th, 10 p.m. Don't miss it. One other thing, we've had this problem before. That Monday when your quiz 1 was due, Blackboard suddenly went out of business. It was not available, and it continued for about an hour and a half. So if you wait until Monday, especially Monday evening, you may be out of luck. And once the quiz is closed, there's nothing I can do. So I suggest you take it a little earlier. I know, of course, it's weekend, but yeah. And if you have issues, your computer crashed on you, I don't know, something else happened, I can clear your attempt and you can redo the quiz again. Yes, Jeremiah, absolutely. There will be nice short response questions. They're called short answer, which means you just can't fake, or you can't just scan them and find the best option. You'll just have to actually write something. But I will, because I'm a human being, obviously not a machine, if I see that in your short answer response, you're actually trying to make some sense, I can always give you half a point. Not like the computer who will give you either a point or 0. So I'm thinking about 2 will be short answer questions and 8 will be multiple choice. I think that's how it will work. Will those appear on the quiz or just an exam? I don't understand your question, Jeremiah. There are no exams in this class, none. Would you like an exam? I can accommodate, it's easy.
No.
No, Professor, thank you so much.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so
It
Jasmine
was a
doesn't
good
want.
offer, though.
Oh, Jeremiah prefers an exam. Okay, Jeremiah, I can create a very, very difficult exam for you. Would you like to do that? And have your grade depend on that one score. Think about it. No, but if it's just for me, then I don't. Okay, good. Goody. So let's move on. So next week, you can know, so at the end of this week until Monday, you can still do some activities. On Monday, everything will close and all you can do is work on assignment 1, which is due October 1st. Once the assignment 1 is submitted, right, you can move into the activities for week 6 will open and you can start doing them. All right, just going over the motions of the assignment 1, you have to find some popular press or mass media piece. That's how I will call it to distinguish it from the original research article. Hopefully it is about a psychological phenomenon. Some people have already asked me about things that are a bit more medical. Not a problem if the original journal article is readable. If you can understand it, that's not a problem. Usually medical articles are kind of boring unless you are into medicine. So you need the research article that I said should be short, sweet, and understandable to you, obviously. And then you have to write the comparison between, and that's what we will do today. We'll start doing that. Whether the journalist's claim matches the claim made by the researchers in the actual article. Your paper is 5 to 6 pages long. It's going to be what we call essay format as opposed to empirical report, which you will be doing for assignment 2. Remember, assignment 2 is twice as many points as assignment 1, and that's the actual research project, which we will talk on the 8th. So mark your calendars. Unless you drop, I wanted to say dead, unless you're really out of commission, do not plan on missing October 8th. depending on how things go, you may have a choice of switching from one group to another if there are people who would like to do so, as long as we still keep 3 people per group, or 2 if it doesn't work. But you will have to be prepared to say so. It's not going to be done confidential, sort of in confidence, anonymously. You will have to say, I really want to go to a different group. It doesn't matter to me which group you're in, as long as there are 3 people. All right. Okay. So it's due October 1st. By the time the class would start, well, usually 4:40, so in this case 4:30. That's when the Blackboard link for submission will close. You are submitting just 1 per group, obviously not 3. Like I said before, let me repeat it again. Anything that has to do with group work should be shared, copied, that is, to the other group members. In particular, it's very important that every member of the group has access to the final report that the leader of the group will submit. It can be that only the leader has the final report, nobody else does. That's not fair. That's not group work. And I'm asking you to either send it as docs or PDF. Now, PDF, of course, is nice because PDF preserves the format. So if you have any issues in your original document, they will continue to be in PDF. Now, Word sometimes, depends on your system, can actually introduce its own errors. So you have to be careful. You have to really check. And that's why the leader's job is important, because the leader is the person who's responsible for bringing the 3 heads or 2 heads together into one coherent text that reads like one person wrote it. It's not going to happen if all you have to do is take bits that everybody wrote and just slap them together. That is very visible. Believe me, I've read many. So if you're looking to get a good grade, right, the leader has to put in a little bit more work than everybody else. Of course, the leader could relegate his or her responsibilities to somebody else. And of course, you will submit it through the Blackboard. There is now an announcement posted with the link in the announcement. So if that's what you want to do. Okay, unless you have some burning questions, we can move on. And what I would like you to do is open your group Google document, the one that you created last Thursday. And hopefully you have downloaded the 2 files. One of them is the slides that you're watching now, you're seeing now. And the other one is the rubric. The rubric is available to you on Blackboard. The slides I will make available, but I have to convert them to PDF because a couple of people said that they cannot access them as slides. So I'm just giving you a minute to open your Google Docs. Okay. And if you haven't downloaded the 2 files, they are at the top of the chat in the beginning of the class. So download them. So what I would like you to do is to sort of work with me as I talk about the components and the requirements for assignment 1. Of course, you have 2 sample assignments posted, so you can look at them. I've posted them as potential exercises in the activities for you. Take one and run it through the rubric. That's what I will do with yours. So once your text is ready, the leader, or together, much better, you should do the same for your text. If you are not getting what's there, you won't get any points for the missing information. Or for, yes, Jeremiah, the group doc from last week. Now, what I would like you to do is to not to write at the bottom, but right at the top. So at the top of the document, If you are in the PC mode, hit Control Enter together. That will bring the text to the next page, and you will have the first page that's empty. If you are in the Mac environment, I think it's the Mac symbol plus Enter, but I'm not quite sure. I have a PC, I don't have a Mac. Okay, let's assume that you are there. And let's now talk. Oh, so let's do one short little exercise before we move on to actual assignment 1, because we haven't talked about this on Tuesday. So these are what Moreland calls big validities, and there is 4 of them. So once you have identified the claim that the journalist or the authors of the article make, then you need to evaluate that claim, and she uses the term interrogate. You need to interrogate the claim based on these 4 validities: construct, statistical, internal, and external. There are some of those that are only applicable to certain claims. So internal validity is only applicable to causal claims. That doesn't work for association or frequency. Statistical validity, is the computer, here is one. Is there another one? Again, Jeremiah, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Who are your group members? Let's see. Jeremiah. Oh, Sadiru and Stephanie, do you guys have access to the file you create? And if you don't, create a new one. I don't see no files at the top of the chat. Okay, well, I see them, and I know people downloaded them. Again, okay, Sadiru has so Sadiru, maybe you should invite Jeremiah again if he cannot log into the Google file. Again, the 2 files that I talk about are this one with the slides, and I'll make that available once we're done. And the second one is the rubric. The rubric is already, they are at the top, Tyrell. Go to the beginning of, God, all right. Okay, I just posted one. Again, Tyrell, do you see it? Writing a lab report assignment 1. Romain, do you see it now in the chat? And the second one is the rubric, so let's post the rubric as well. No big deal. Okay. So let's look at the examples and see how we will talk about these 4 validities depending on the claim type. Okay, so here are 3 examples. Here is a frequency claim: 4 in 10 teens admit to texting while driving. All right, so like 35% rate. Now, remember that it is always one variable that has a number or a rate in it. So out of 4 validities, we really can only do 2. We can do construct validity and we can do external validity. Internal is not possible for frequency claims, nor is it actually possible for association claims. Because remember, internal validity is criterion number 3 for causal claims. So what's construct validity? That is, are you measuring what you say you're measuring? When it comes to sort of physical objects like shoe size, well, if you shoe size 8, you know what size 8 corresponds to in inches, whatever this number is. So measuring feet by shoe size is good because it is what it is. Anything that's sort of physical like this is easy. When it comes to conceptual variables that we discussed last time that need real complex operational definitions like happiness or talent or love, then whether there is construct validity in the instrument that the researcher is using becomes critical. Because if you say you're measuring happiness, well, how do you do that? We talked about happiness in particular as having people to describe their mood using adjectives throughout the day, and then taking all the positive adjectives and all the negative adjectives and subtracting the negative ones from the positive ones, and then using that score to say that it is measuring happiness. Is it a good way? Well, it's one of the ways. But if you say that you're measuring depression like this, that becomes bad, right? So anything that has to do with these conceptual variables and the question of construct, that is, did you construct an instrument, survey, questionnaire, anything else that will give you what you need to know about this particular dependent variable or response variable? That is something that we need to find if the journalist described it. So if the journalist said that looking at the cat clips on social media makes you perform better. All right, well, watching clips is easy, right? Either you watch them or you don't. Making your performance better. Well, what do you mean by that? How do you measure performance? Do you measure it in the number of, I don't know, words you write or scores you get on the test? What do you mean by performance? So then if the researcher explained how she measured performance and the journalist didn't, then the journalist did not give us anything about construct validity. It's actually quite intuitive if you start thinking about it. Statistical validity. So here, these examples are all based on what we call effect sizes. Now, we haven't done statistics yet, so you don't really know what the effect sizes is. So what you need to know is whether the journalist says anything in her piece that has to do with statistics. Does she say that the performance of group A was significantly better than performance of group B? Then she is giving us statistical validity. She doesn't need to give us p-values or anything technical like this. Obviously, that's not going to be a problem in the original article because you can't publish an article without statistics. So we take it at face value that statistical validity will be present and easily identifiable in the results section. But the journalist may not say anything, okay? And finally, so in this case, 4 out of 10 teens, well, you know, what kind of statistics will you do here? Well, it's going to be like chi-square or something. But again, the researcher will say something in the article and the journalist may ignore this completely. Finally, the external validity, which is, can you generalize these results to anything else? So here, 4 in 10 teens admit to texting while driving. Well, these American teens, is it the same in Europe? Is it the same in Japan? Is it the same in Ghana? What about young people who are not teens? So once you're 20 to 25, you're still young, right? Will this generalize to a group of slightly older people, not teens anymore, right? And then what kind of texting are we talking about? Is it when you talk to your phone or when you actually type? All of these questions, because otherwise this claim becomes not generalizable. It will lack external validity. And you have to do it for both articles, for the mass media piece and for the original research article. So now you can go through the same exercise with association claims and causal claims. For the association claims, here's one. Study links exercise to higher pay. Presumably people who exercise have higher salaries. Well, you know, it's a correlational study. That is, as the variable of exercising varies, so does the salary of the people. You know, these are the two variables that co-vary. And that's criterion number one for causal claims, but also is totally applicable to association claims. Now, construct validity. Now, because you have two variables now, you had only one in frequency claims. So here you have to assess construct validity for both. Well, higher pay is easy, right? Because you just ask people how much they get paid. And they tell you, you know, 55,000 or 80,000 or whatever. Exercise, that is, as we know, could be difficult because, you know, what do you mean by exercise? Is it running? Is it going to the gym? Is it working out at home? Is it you know, swimming or golfing? Hey, chess is a sports too. So what did they measure? How did they measure these two variables? That will give us a construct validity. And again, we are looking to see if journalists didn't give us anything. When the journalist says exercise is linked to higher pay, does the journalist explain to us what was meant by exercise in the article? Or is it just sort of like any exercise, meaning that this is misrepresentation of the article? Statistical validity, again, has to do with statistics that the researchers did. Look it up in the results section. You don't need to really understand a lot, but you need to know if there is a statistical difference between different groups or different conditions. External validity is the same across all three. So whether this is an association claim, so if the exercise is about going to the gym, will it generalize to running? Will it generalize to people who have different levels of education? Obviously, the more educated you are, the highly usually paid. So does it apply to mechanics as it applies to lawyers, for example? And so on. So that will be external stuff. Finally, our causal claim, that's the most interesting one. So the best thing you could do if you are doing this is to find a mass media article that makes an association claim a causal one. That's the worst crime that a journalist can commit because of this internal validity. So that's the main piece. Was the difference or the change in dependent variable caused by the manipulated variable? Because you have to have independent variable. You have to have something that you manipulated in the experiment in this case. You don't get manipulated variables with association claims. So therefore, there is no causal relationship between the two, but the journalist makes an association claim into causal one by saying exercise causes higher pay, right? But everything else is now very similar to the association claims. Construct validity, how well were the two variables, one that was manipulated, the other one that was measured, were operationalized. Obviously, the one that you manipulate is easy because you manipulate it. So you say, oh, I'm going to make 300 milligrams of that drug versus placebo. You manipulated it, so you know exactly what it is. But the behavior you're measuring might be something that would require you to consider construct validity seriously. Okay. Yes, it's a little short, I know, but you have your chapter 3 in front of you and you can spend as much time. I also would recommend highly that you do the exercises at the end of chapter, in this case, chapter 3. They're called learning activities, things like that. All right? When you do them, actually, I might decide that I should give them to you as your potential activities. Do a learning activity from the end of the chapter, get your point. Okay. So do them to make sure you understand what these validities are, and listen to a short clip by Beth Morling that's posted to you, for you on the Blackboard. Okay, so, oh, we forgot something else, this stuff. Let's go back and get rid of this. Okay, goody. So now you're ready to start your Google Docs. So like I said, make sure you're at the top of the file. So type in today's date, which is what, the 24th. And let's go through writing a lab report exercise where you should be marking these points in the document. So our first component is the general formatting. So there is a button at the top of your Google Docs that will allow you to do all these things. I'm saying Word, I mean Word in Google. You need to set all your margins at 1 inch on all 4 sides. Now, APA 7 actually allows for a number of different fonts. We're not going to be thinking about it. We will always use Times Roman 12 points. So set your font at Times Roman 12. A regular Word loves Calibri. Calibri is the default. So if you don't do anything, everything will look Calibri. And Calibri and Times Roman are very different. Calibri is sans serif and Times Roman is serif. And these are the notions that came to us from the times when the books were printed using the actual print press. It's actually a very fascinating story of how fonts were used in those days and why we care for sans serif sometimes and for serif fonts. So the one that you're looking at now is Arial. Arial is sans serif. And serif means those little squiggly things around the letters. So the K will have a little squiggly thing. So if there are no squiggly things, it's sans serif, because these squiggly things are serifs. And you need to set the lining spacing at double throughout the entire report, which means title page, abstract, everything else, references. And if you are, when you are doing that in Word, I don't know about Google, but probably you could do that too, you have to set them as your default. And then you never have to think about them again. So as I talk, you guys do, or you can take turns. All right. So let's now go through the requirements for the review essay type. This is what you're doing now, assignment 1. Assignment 2 is going to be empirical report that has a different structure. They're similar in certain ways, but not the same. So these are the components that you have to have. You have to have title page. You have to have an abstract that starts on a new page. So title page is page 1, and it actually has to have a number. 5 spaces in the header from the right. Then you're going to click Control Enter if you're a PC person, or a Mac symbol plus Enter if you're a Mac person. That should open a new page for you. So this is going to be abstract. Okay, and we'll talk about how that needs to be formatted in a second. click Control, I will just use PC terminology. Click Control, enter again to get the third page. So now your pages 1, 2, 3. You're now into page 3. And you will have an introduction. Just above the word introduction, you have to repeat the title of your paper. If you already have it, that's great. If not, just type in title again. All right. Then until you get to the references, there are no new pages. You just continuously write everything. And you have to, as you will see when you compare sample assignment 1 to sample assignment, well, sample assignment C to sample assignment A, you will notice that C does not have sections. I think it doesn't, none of them. And A does. And you must have sections because it's impossible to read even 6 pages without some kind of a logical break. And the titles of these sections are called headings, and they're going to be level 1. The reason why I'm saying this is because I'm going to show you again the table from the APA manual that shows us how different headings. This is our APA 7. Okay, I actually said that it's required. It's required at least 1 per group. I don't know if you guys have done that, but if you haven't, then that's up to you. And then within the sections, you can have what we call subsections, and they will have titles, but they will be headings level 2. And again, on the next slide, I will explain what I mean by sections and subsections. Let me just open up the article. Okay, good. So at this point, you should have 1, 2, 3 pages, and you should have, so title page doesn't have a heading, so abstract, introduction, and then maybe section 1, section 2, and so on. Because you don't have method results discussion because you're not writing an empirical report yet. That's coming for assignment 2. And your final component, which also starts on a new page, is references. We have done already an exercise on references. It turns out that it was a disaster. Very few of you had an idea how to do that. But we've done that, so I feel good about it. You just have to go back to that lecture and see what we have done. Now you will have to have 2 references, right? Because you have a media piece, mass media piece, and you have an original research article. Like I said, the original research article is easy because we have done an exercise on that, but I will remind you in a second what it looks like. Let's see. I'm gonna just show you this page. All right, that is page 67. This student APA 7 example is posted on Blackboard. So all you have to do is open it up, find the references. Like I said, this is page 67, and then format your research article like this. Remember the components, the author's name, year in parentheses, the article title, the journal title, volume, pages, digital object identifier. All right. Now remember that these 2 articles, media and original, should be listed in the alphabetical order of the last names of the first author, whatever that is. If we were using ULS, the article about screen time and children, ULS starts with a U. So whatever was the first media piece's author, I think she wasn't a U person, she was something like M. So in this case, the media piece will be listed first, and the research article will be listed second because of the alphabetical order. And they have to be APA 7 formatted, which I just mentioned for the research article. Now let's look at what the media article should look like. Obviously, I haven't seen them yet, so I don't know what you have. Before we do that, So these are the headings. So let's get annotation tool. You are not going to be using headings level 3, 4, and 5. It's just, you don't need that. You will be using levels 1 and level 2. So for level 1, the heading needs to be centered and it should be bold. Now, of course, it will have the first letter. That's in uppercase. So the word abstract. So go back, go up to second page of your Google document. Click on abstract, click on center, and click on bold. That will give you the required formatting. Go down to references, do the same for the word references. Select it, center it. Don't center it using keyboard tabs or anything like that. Use the function at the top in the ribbon and make it bold. And then whatever your headings are for, and we'll talk about them in a second, for your text, they will be formatted the same way because they will be headings level 1. Within these sections, right, you may be having subsections. So let me see if I can get you an example. Yeah, here we go. I'm back to the student sample article posted for you on Blackboard. So here, the heading level 1 is guided imagery. As you can see, it's centered. I'm going to sort of take it back, and it's in bold. Now, the one that comes underneath it, right, this one, features of guided imagery. That is subsection. So that is flushed left and bold. And if you have a bunch of them, here's the next one. Guided imagery in group psychotherapy. Also subsection. So it is flushed left and it's in bold. You don't have anything yet. So you can just say section 1, subsection 1, subsection 2. You cannot make subsections if you only have one. So you have to have at least 2. So subsection 1, subsection 2 is fine. Subsection 1 and then immediately section 2 is not fine. Okay. So that's about the headings. Title page, we talked about it before, but let's recap. You have to have only one thing in the header. The header is that gray area above at the top of the page. You have to insert a header. And there's only one thing there, which is the page number. In the old days, in APA 6, thank God you haven't been around unless somebody taught you in Psych 100. As you can look at this title page, you can see that the header has only the page number, nothing else. No running head, no nothing. Then comes the full text, the full title, all right? And as you can see, this title is centered, it's in bold, and it also has caps or upper letter cases for content words. What comes next is the author's name. In your case, you're going to have 3 that will have to be arranged in the alphabetical order of the last name. But your format is different from the references. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago that there are 2 ways to format names in APA. One is the title page format, the other one is the references format. So the title page is actually your full name. So your first name, your initial, your last name, comma, followed by the second author, first name, initial if you have it, last name, comma, and full word and the last person, the third member of your group, first name, middle initial, last name. So while I'm saying this, you should type in all 3 of you, because you can work simultaneously in the Google Doc, your names and arrange them in the alphabetical order. I'm going to give you a minute to do so. How are we doing on time? Okay. We'll be done in a couple of more slides. Once you're done with the names, okay, then the next component of the title page is your affiliation. That is, in our case, it's Department of Psychology, the College of Staten Island of the City University of New York. That's the official name of your institution. That's where you get your diploma from. And the last piece on the title page is the course information. So the course abbreviation, the course title, my name as your instructor, and October 1st, 2020. That's it. That's all you're going to have on the title page. At this point, you should have everything except for the title, which you will have to play because usually that comes last. Next comes abstract. We're going to skip it because we just don't have time. Who can tell me what would be the easiest way to learn how to write abstracts?
Is abstract when you write the summary?
Yes, but yeah, but well, not before, Jasmine. That's critical. You only write the abstract once you're done with your study.
Oh, no, but like in the order of the pages, isn't it the title page, the abstract, then the whole assignment?
That's right.
Okay.
Abstract is on page 2. But my question is, if we're skipping this whole description of the abstract, how can you learn how to write an abstract? Where would you get this information from? Okay, Jeremiah says APA manual, that's Eileen, and Jeremiah says by reading research journals. Yeah, the best thing to do if you want to learn how to write abstracts is to look at abstracts that are available to you. So you can use the article by Oles and colleagues that we talked about. You can use your research article, but be careful because you don't want to plagiarize. And then you will have access to the slides that you will also look at. All right. And here is the most important thing, because you actually are writing a coherent text, as opposed to writing an empirical research, which is report, which is a little different. There are certain components that are written in the same way. So this is how we write in psychology or any other class that you will be taking or have taken English 111, English 151. We write at 3 levels. We write at the macro level, which is the most important one, because we want to make sure that our readers know why we are writing this paper. So it has to be very clear to them, what is it that you're doing? Then the second one is the one that I want to focus on today, and that's called mid-level, and it's based around paragraphs. Now remember, a paragraph is a text that ends with an enter. So when you use enter, you create a new paragraph. Okay? And finally, we have what we call sentence level. And, sentences have to be stylistically nice. They have to be grammatically correct. But I'm not going to be talking about that today at all. So this is for you. If you have a few, run-off sentences and a few stylistically awkward phrases, I can overlook that. But if your entire report is written like this, then you're going to be losing points on that as well. So you have to really be careful. It needs to be written well. But we will focus on the paragraphs, okay? And that's where our square paragraph rule comes from. And you will see that in your rubric. The square paragraph rule says that the length of the paragraph is approximately the same as its width. And it's double spaced as always. So usually in psychology, our paragraphs are about half a page, sometimes a little bit more than that. closer to 2/3. But critically, you can only have 1 point per paragraph. So imagine that I'm describing attachment of pet owners to their pets. Well, you could say, well, pets can be different. You have dogs and you have cats and you have rodents and maybe you have birds or fish. So you'll say, we are going to be looking at the attachment of pet owners to their pets. And then you will have 5 paragraphs, one about dogs, one about cats, one about rodents, one about birds, and one about fish. Because you only can have 1 point, one idea per paragraph. So that's the sort of the general thinking around the square paragraph rule. And now the actual components, the structure of a paragraph, right? Each paragraph has to have 3 components: a transition, a key sentence, and what we call evidence. Now, a transition is always the first sentence, and there's only one paragraph that may not have it, and that's the very first one, because you're not transitioning from anything. If you are looking at paragraph 2 and so on, then paragraph 2 has to be connected to paragraph 1, and that's what the transition does. And that transition could be a term, it could be a phrase, it could be what we call discourse markers. So you can say, however, or you can say, in addition, or if you talked about the effects of visual effects on people's choices to purchase something, you can say, what we mean by graphical effects is especially visible in labels on products. So you're connecting that second paragraph to the first one by repeating the term, okay? The second paragraph is always the most important one. It's the key or the topic sentence. So think of that as if you were to delete everything else in your text and just leave the key sentence. You will have a structure of your text represented by single sentence from each paragraph. Now they have to kind of be connected, right? For a paper to be logical, cohesive, as we say, or coherent. Now, if you've ever read work written by your classmates, you sometimes would notice that this is really not a very good paper because that connection is missing. That is, the key sentences were not logically written, and that's what makes a text difficult to read. That's why people give up. They say, I can't follow this. Finally, the rest of the paragraph would be what we call evidence. And evidence can be 2 sentences, could be even 4 sentences, could be sometimes you have lots of stuff to say, even 6 sentences. So a paragraph could be 4 minimum to 8 sentences, depending on how much evidence you need. And evidence is always in support of the key sentence. So when you write your draft, go through this. Not that we will have time to do it today. I'm just saying when you have your text ready, you could all play this little, do this little exercise by going through each of your paragraphs and identifying. If you like highlighting, now is your chance. Use 3 different colors, one for transition, one for key sentence, the rest for the evidence. So your paragraphs should be tricolored if everything is written well. It's easier said than done, and I'm not giving you any examples, but most research articles actually are written quite well. So focus on the introduction of your research article and see if you can identify transition, key, and evidence sentences in the introduction of your original research article. Okay, almost there. So introduction is the very first paragraph where you have to say something about the general topic of your paper and define your conceptual variables. So is it about purchasing? Is it about depression? Is it about performance? Is it about academic achievement? Whatever it is, your first paragraph is meant for laymen. It's not meant for specialists. So it has to be written in such a way that your grandmother should be able to understand what you're talking about. So it is often the case that this is one of the most difficult paragraphs to write, and I often postpone it until the end of the paper when I have already everything written and I have an idea what is it. I mean, I do have an idea what I'm going to write about, but formulating this nice, tight, exciting paragraph is difficult. So you may want to not to jump right into writing the first paragraph immediately, but wait until you do everything else. Finally, we are getting to the sections. We don't have method results discussion, which we normally have in empirical reports, and that's what we will have for assignment 2. So here for assignment 1, your sections, that is level 1, you can approach it from one of the two perspectives. One is going to be consecutive. The other one will be nested. So what do I mean by this? So consecutive, first you're going to write everything you have to write about your media piece. And in this case, you will give us a summary, right, of the media piece. Then you will identify the claim, if there is such a thing, and that should be. Usually the title of the media piece often contains the claim, and then whether the journalist actually even mentioned validity. He doesn't have to, or she doesn't have to use the word validity, but she has to explain things like whether the variables were measured properly, whether there was statistical significance. So that's going to be your section 1, and it will have a name. It cannot be called mass media article. This is just placeholders for me to talk to you. Your second section is going to be research article, which will have exactly the same structure. And as you can see, these are headings level 2. So they're going to be flushed left bold. Summary, claim, validities. And your final section 3 is going to be comparison and conclusions. That is, did the journalist do a good job? And that's possible, yes. Some journalists do an excellent job. So that's approach number 1. Okay? This is what I call the nested approach. That's approach number 2. There, your headings are summaries, claims, validities, and also comparison and conclusion. And now, within the summaries, you'll tell us a summary from mass media piece and a summary of research article. Again, be very careful not to plagiarize from the article. Plagiarism is a bad thing. The second section is going to be claims. So what is it that the mass media article piece claim is? What is the one from research article? Section 3 is going to be validities. So they will be a little unbalanced because you will have less stuff in claims than in validities. That's okay. It's no big deal. And the last one is going to be just the same. You will compare the two because that's the whole purpose of this assignment, and you'll make a conclusion. So you can choose one of these two, whichever you as a group prefer. Either can work quite well if you write well, if you know what you're talking about. Okay, and I think that's that. One last thing. Throughout this piece, this assignment 1, you'll be citing your 2 sources. This is called in-text citations. And you cannot say psychologist J. Smith said. That's not APA. You have to use what's called narrative. Let's go back to my annotation. This is the narrative form. You will say Luna or Smith 2020 argued. Or you can say in the article it was argued, and then you will use what's called parenthetical citation by putting the last name and the year at the end of the sentence in parentheses. So if it's only one author. we don't really get single authored research articles. Journalists often write solo. So when you're writing about research article, you'll have to either use a form like this, 2 last names with an and in between and the year, or you will say whatever you want to say and then put the names. And note when the names are in parentheses, then and becomes an ampersand. It's just a rule. If you have 3 or more, you can use at all from the very first mentioning. Perfect. 2 other things. You need to cite only once per paragraph. So don't start all 5 sentences with Luna 2020, Luna 2020. No, only once per paragraph. The moment you move to the second paragraph or the next one, then you have to cite again. And make sure that you don't get me confused and you're really confused. Don't say the author unless you know who you're talking about. So you may want to call the journalist and the researchers something else so that you distinguish the two and don't get your reader confused, in this case me. Okay, and right. And finally, we know how the research article reference, that's the very last page, will look like. And this is just a few options of how you would cite your media piece. Note, it's a little different from the research article because, for example, you will have to have the date in parentheses, okay? Right, you will have to have this, if it is lifted from on a website on the internet, you have to have the HTTP. And the slide actually tells you how to write in the text. So you will say, Bergeson, 2019, wrote about something. That's going to be your narrative citation. Or you're going to put Bergeson 2019 in parentheses at the end. So this is magazine and this is newspaper. So you have to use. Otherwise, it looks quite similar to the research articles with a couple of little exceptions. All right. And I believe this is it, which means, yeah. So at this point, I would like you to go to your, well, you are at your Google Doc, and you should decide on which of the 2 approaches you're going to use, consecutive or nested. And then each of you should write a paragraph somewhere. Of course, they should be different paragraphs. So somebody could write a summary of the media article, and the second person could write a summary of the research article, and the third person could write the claims. So Google allows you to work simultaneously. That's the beauty of this. And I will now go to your Google Docs. We only have half hour, but that's okay. And I will be looking and see what you're doing. So remember, I want you to work at the top of the document, not at the end, because then I have to scroll and it takes time and we are short. So work. If you have a question, ask a question. Tell me if you want me to look at something. At first, I will look at your formatting and at your APA style, because I may not have time to process full paragraphs, but I want to see that everybody works. And let me quickly also take attendance, that I can make sure that everybody who needs to be present is present. Okay, so when I say your name, even though you did, well, if you don't have a microphone, then type something in chat saying I'm here or something like that. And if you have a mic, just unmute yourself. Jeremiah.
I'm here.
Good. Jackie.
I'm here.
Good. Louis. Good. Thomas.
I'm here.
Good. Cholani.
I'm here.
Very good. Monica.
Yeah, I'm here.
Good. Eileen.
Here.
Mm-hmm. Milana. Devon Joy. Good. Vanessa.
Sorry, here.
Good, Vanessa. Chidima.
Here.
Okay, Chidima, I still need your CD training with score.
I emailed that to you.
Look, take a picture of it now and show it to me. Put it in your Google Doc so I can see it, because I don't have the score for you.
Okay.
Tara. Oh, so is she. Okay. Tara? Kelly? Huh. Irving?
Here.
Good. Victoria?
Here.
Terrence? Oh, I see. Terrence says audio is lagging. Okay, so Terrence is here. Jennifer? I don't think she's here. Dee Dee?
I'm here, Professor.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Alma? Callista?
I am here.
Very good. Romaine?
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you, Romaine. I can hear you and see you. Rita? Yes.
Here.
Thank you, Romaine. Ah, thank you, Rita. Always nice to see. I know, Seaver, you already talked to me, so you're here.
Professor, yep.
Norma?
Here.
Victoria, I got you. Thank you. Norma is here. Irina? Okay. Jasmine?
Here.
Good. Kim?
Here.
Edgar?
Phew.
Who was that?
Yeah, that was me, Chidima.
Okay, Chidima, stay healthy. Bless you, right? I couldn't hear you. Okay, Jeremiah, give me a second. Edgar, are you gonna say something? No, so you left. Joanna?
Here.
Very good. Sadiru?
I'm here.
Good. Tyrell?
I'm here, Professor. Sorry about that.
Fine. Lisbeth?
I'm here.
Mm-hmm. Stephanie?
I'm here.
Good. Skylet? Okay, you have a new document, not a problem. Skylet? Yes, no, yes, no. And Jenny? Perfect. All right, so at this point, I'm gonna go into Google Docs and start looking at your work. So work now. Remember, you have to divide the components and start writing. Let's stop sharing. There we go. And stop. Good. Right. Participants. I'm going to mute all. Yes. All right.
Professor, I'm having a little trouble with my internet. Can I sign out and sign back on really quick?
Of course. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. Of course. close this. Let's go to this one. Google Drive. Log in. Shared with me. All right. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, Eileen, Milana, and Vanessa. That's group number 5. Okay, Eileen, Milana, and Vanessa. Anna Vanessa is re-entering. It's not double spaced. Your title page. So make sure it's double spaced. Abstract is good. Your page number, guys, is not Times Roman. It's Arial. So change that. Abstract. Okay, your introduction is, again, not double spaced. Don't write the first paragraph. So start with paragraph 2. Somebody should write something in section 1, and the third person should write something in section 3. Okay, for now it looks good. Group number 10. Tyrell, are you the only one? Ah, Chidima is here with you. Okay. Wow. Okay, what is the size here? It's not 15, it should be 12. And you forgot and only the title is bold. Nothing else is bold. Okay? Put the Foundations of Psychological Research in italics. That's the name of the course. Good. Before College of Staten Island, type in Department of Psychology, comma, College of Staten Island of the City University of New York. And put an and between Rojas and Tyrell. Well, it doesn't need to be caps, Tyrell. Okay, good. So add Department of Psychology. Okay, let's look. Where is your abstract? That should be page 2. So somebody should go to page 2, type in the word abstract. And make it centered and bold. And you don't have anything else. Okay, so you need to get the structure underway before you can write anything. Okay, that's group number 10. Let's go to the next one. 7, Kim, Monica, and Jenny. Okay, good. It looks like you have Arial. And it should be Times Roman. And don't put Department of Psychology in italics. It's the name of the course, Foundations of Psychological Research, that should be in italics. All right, abstract. So change it to Times Roman. References should be centered. Okay. Open with Google Docs. There we go. Good. Foundations of Psychological Research is now in the wrong place. That should be Department of Psychology. Okay, abstract, good. Introduction. Remember, you have to repeat the title of the paper before the word introduction, and it should be on a separate page. So abstract is page 2, introduction is page 3. The references. Okay, looks good. Keep working. All right, I'm just opening them in the order of the way I have them. Group 8. It's a folder. Huh. Okay. It's better for me if it's just a file, not a folder, because it's extra clicks. So Callista, D, and Victoria, you should move it out of a folder. Your title page is a little, the stuff is a little too high. It needs to go down. Good. Stop right there. It's good. So neither of you guys has a middle initial, right? No problem. Before College of Staten Island, you should say Department of Psychology, comma, and put Foundations of Research, Psychological Research after 201 in italics. All right, looks good. Change the page from Arial to Times Roman. Abstract is also, is it Times Roman? It doesn't look like it. Okay, good, Didi, yes. Abstract, discussion of the claims. Okay, so start writing. Your first page, of course, you'll have to delete September 24th because that's just for us for now. That was group 8. Let me see. Computers and Human Behavior, group 3. Oh, I see, Jeremiah. So that's the one. That's how you called it. Remember, I want you to call it just group 3 followed by your 3 names. So it's going to be group 3, Jeremiah, Sadira, and Stephanie. Do you have a new one? Should I look for the new one? Okay, Lisbeth, Alma, and Shalani, group 6. I don't see anything. I see your exercise. See new changes. Let's see what's going on. Okay, so who's working now for group 6? Lisbeth and Shalani, you guys, or Lisbeth, is it just you?
No, it's me and Shalani. We made a new document.
Ah.
We shared it with you.
That's extra steps that takes time. Okay, right. I'll have to come back to you. I'm looking at, these guys are not here. Group number 2. Jennifer, Jackie, Tara. Do we have anybody here? No. All right. Group number 1. Let's have a look. Okay, guys, push it down a little bit. The title page, it's a little too high. Should be about the 3rd page down. Good. And
Okay,
your,
sounds good.
your page number is kind of low. It needs to be in, no, Rita, it's not on the page. It's in the header. Insert, go to insert. So delete that. Yeah, go to insert. Header and footer, or headers and footers. Click on headers. And then insert the page in the header. Okay, Jasmine can do that, doesn't matter. And between Seaver's last name and Jasmine's first name, add Department of Psychology before College of Staten Island. Otherwise, it looks good. So somebody has to take care of the page number. Let me see. Okay, remember what I said? Are you guys using, well, you are using Google Docs. You see what happened because you used the enter. You have now a bunch of blank lines before the page 2. You need to get rid of those. It's much easier if you use Control plus Enter to start a new page. Oh, look at that. Lots of good stuff. Discussion of research method.
Yeah, a lot of things need to be tightened up. I think we just wanted to kind of
put stuff
use
in.
the time to put stuff in, yeah.
Okay, good. Now make sure everything is double spaced. Now you have page 4 in the middle because it was not in the header. I am.
Yeah, that was. I think I transferred things over from like the Mac Pages Word document to the Google Doc, so things got messed up. That
Okay.
was on my bad.
Not a problem. So I'm looking at the references, Seaver, and it says Rogers and Wendon. Which of these is the media? Which of these is the research article?
So I think we put the media. What you're seeing right now is Rogers. That's the CNN media article. So I know we have to switch that. Unless I don't know if it matters if the research article should be referred in the first slot for the references. But
well, it's alphabetical. So if you have Rogers and you have Wendon, then Rogers. But what I see is that the first one, CNN, but the second one is Psychology Today. Psychology Today is not a research article, right? Because it's not the research journal.
Psychology. Oh, no, that was, I think we got our links mixed up.
So the research article is not here yet, right?
Not here yet, no.
Okay. Okay, good. No, you're
Great.
really far away, so good.
Yes.
I don't need to worry too much about you.
Great.
Let's see. Romain Norma, group 12. Okay. Let's see. So Romain and Norma, you need an and in between your names. So Romain Metalos and Norma M. Choa. Good. Before the college, and push this about 3 lines down because it's way too high. No, before the title. No, not here. No, Romain, before the title. Good. All right. Before College of Staten Island, type in Department of Psychology, comma, College of Staten Island of the City University of New York. Right? Yeah. And Norma, are you working with Romain?
Yes.
Good. So put the foundations of psychological research in italics and add the date after my name. All right, good. I don't see anything else. On page 2, Norma, you should type in the word abstract and then use the function center and bold. And then continue section 1, section 2, references, okay? Good, that's group 12. I'm rearranging things so I can see. Okay. Okay, so I don't see. So Jeremiah, you sent me a link, right? A new one. Okay. Let's get you. All right. Zoom. I see. Open in Docs. Cholani, please change the name. Group 6, Lisbeth, comma, Alma, comma, Cholani. Because otherwise, assignment 1, if I have 12 files, they're all called assignment 1. I don't know where I am, okay? Your title page looks good. Except the word, obviously. The page number, it looks like it's in bold. Shouldn't be in bold. It should be just regular. And you need title, right? Which will be bold when you have it. Title. Okay, Alma. Good. Yep. Page 2, abstract. So please remove boldface from the page numbers in the header. Abstract looks good. Introduction is now pushed down because you did not use Control Enter. You just typed in. Okay, good. Introduction, discussion, methodology of the first. What do you mean by the first study? I have no idea. Your headings should be meaningful. They should not let your reader guess. Methodology of the second study. The first one was not even a study, right? Discussion of claims. Okay. All right. Start writing. Just change the first, second study because that's very confusing. All right. Who else? Send me an invitation. Let's see. Thomas. Uh-huh. Open and docs. All right, I'm looking at, who are you guys? Let's see. Louis, Thomas, and Terrence. Please take page 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and move them up to the top of the file. Thomas, so here at Media Journal article, just use Control Enter like this, and then put the assignment here at the beginning of the file so I can see it. Yes, of course. Control V. Ah, I see. You and I doing it simultaneously. Okay. So who Luz? Okay, Luz. Push this about a third page down. So put the title in. Put the title in the center. So click center at the top. Right. Okay. And now we want to push it down. Yeah, but the word title as well. Let's move it. Yeah, move it. Just above your names. Okay, that's fine too. So delete a bunch of lines in between and make everything double spaced, Louis. So select from here all the way to the end of references and click format, right? Click line spacing and click double. Okay, so double spacing abstract, that's fine. Your page numbers are Arial. Then you need to change them into Times Roman. Okay, so now you have an extra page. And so just move or delete the first page. Okay. Abstract looks good. Introduction. Okay, good. Summary of media article. Yeah, call it, well, okay, article is fine. As long as you're not. I see what you're doing. I'm on page 4. You're saying the article on NBC News. That's not how we cite. Remember, we use the in-text narrative citation, which should be the last name of the journalist. So this part is wrong. Okay? The name of the journalist. I can't type today. Journalist. Year. Like this, of course, not all caps, it's me. A summary of research article, is it section heading 1 or section heading 2? The same about claims. Okay, references, remember, have to be, okay, you're working. Okay, good. 6, 9, okay, we don't have 2. So Jeremiah, did I